This is coal. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
The Treasurer knows the rule on props.
By 1990, no Australian child will be living in poverty.
Well, may we say, God save the Queen, because nothing will save the Governor General.
Mate, because I want to do you slowly.
I want to do this slowly.
I believe we are in danger of being swamped by Asians.
But we will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
People are entitled to their sexual proclivities.
I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. I will not.
The Australian public does not want to see this place descend into a political colosseum.
Just sit down, Buffett.
Welcome to The Take. Hi, welcome to The Take. This is part 2 of my Avoid These Leftist Creators. Leftists, progressive, they're libs, they're shitlibs, okay? And they have been exposed by their unyielding support of Graham Platner and Zora Mamdani and AOC and Bernie, all of them. Those people are Democrats, and the Democrats are controlled opposition, and they do not want to change what is happening, no matter how much they say it. And I forgot, I've been treating Bernie like he's a Democrat. And he's independent, but he caucuses with the Democrats. That man is not independent. He is a Democrat, and he's become a Democrat. I don't know if he had good intentions when he first started out, but he has a lot to do with J Street, which is a Zionist organization. And this is where people need to be really careful when they are talking about politicians who do not take money from AIPAC, right? AIPAC knows that their branding is terrible at the moment. It has just the worst connotations. So watch for a change in name really soon. However, AIPAC is not the only Zionist organization. There are a bunch of them. And every person who is on the payroll is doing the bidding of Israel. Make no mistakes, they don't give a flying fuck about America. They don't. They only care about Israel, and everything is about that. And if your politicians are paid by Israel for Israelis, guess who they're not looking after? And I mean, Richie Torres is the perfect example of this. And Zoran's already fallen into line, and Graham Platner will. They keep saying he's not taking AIPAC money, okay, but it's not the only Zionist organization. And his stepbrother and good friend Seth Fransman did a talk for AIPAC, so I'm sure that they've got some ties that he will never tell us. And if he was ever exposed for it, wait for that, by the way. Everybody will be like, oh, I'm so surprised, because everybody keeps saying, oh, he's Fetterman 2.0. And their comeback to that was, well, but Fetterman always courted the Israeli lobby. Okay, is that the only problem with Fetterman? Because he's a dino, Democrat in name only. Graham Platner has those same aspects of his platform and history, Yeah, so this particular part is about Kyle Kulinkski, his little freaking cheer squad, the Vanguard. Kyle has over 2 million viewers. I don't know, he does this like talking tough thing, like they can suck on my balls, like, like he's real crude like that. The other thing I don't like about Kyle is he's ableist, he's fatphobic, and he's been posting racist memes. Well, one main racist meme, but yeah, I don't know. I never used to watch him because I hated that he vaped on camera. It's just something about it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it's it's like, really, you can't wait? You can't, like, wait half an hour, you know? Yeah, so I started watching him like a year ago, maybe, just here and there, not full versions. He was doing some pushing back, but now he's just, fallen into line with what what Graham Platner's doing. Yeah, I think everybody should stay away from these creators, and let's go and examine how terrible Kyle Kulinkski and the Vanguard are. Shall we talk about Kyle Kulinkski? Because Kyle Kulinkski not only is really pro Graham Platner, he also is just posting racist memes on the main. This was a video from in the last week, I think. Why didn't I do this screenshot big enough to have when it was posted? So in the last 6 days, he has posted this one, which says, "Graham Platner is absolutely terrifying MAGA." I don't know why he would. He's basically, he's blue MAGA, and so is Kyle. And Kyle also, just excused it. We've got the Vanguard who sucks up to him. Oh, that's right. There's a few. So on there, this is some comments on Kyle's video about Graham Platner. This guy isn't who he claims to be. Graham Platner wanted to be in the Indian Wars. That was enough for me. I learned enough about him from that. Exactly. Because it wasn't in the Indian Wars. It was the Indian genocide. He's an East Coast private school kid. Why are you people so susceptible to the latest Dem ploy? It's wild. Yep. If only the rest of the country had Graham Platners in which to vote. Yeah, sure. There's a lot of them, actually. This one, how many Fettermans will it take before the left learns its lessons? He is a Blackwater thug. Don't buy the Constellus is a completely different bullshit. He posted about how much he misses doing imperialism as a soldier. He became a merc so he could keep doing imperialism. He likes power, that is all. Disappointed to see you all swooning over this extremely dubious character. I'll never get that people think it's okay to mass murder brown people overseas, but to disrupt those mass murderers at their dinner table for those crimes is beyond the pale. Yeah. How are you still caping for this war criminal? GFC. Fetterman 2.0, y'all don't learn. Platner has more red flags than a China parade. Yep. Graham Platner worked for the private military company formerly known as Blackwater, which operated under the name of Constellus at the time, as a State Department security contractor in Kabul, Afghanistan in 2018. During his approximately 6-month stint, his primary role was providing diplomatic security to the US ambassador to Afghanistan. He returned to Maine later that same year, having grown disillusioned with the military and what he perceived as the fraudulent funneling of taxpayer money to private defense companies. Good job, Black Raven. This is definitely a bought and paid bot. Kyle's selected. No, it might not be a bot. It's just somebody who has the lingo. Did he get disillusioned or did he get bored? And I don't care if he was he doing diplomatic security in an illegal war, in a war of fucking torture and carnage that killed millions of Iraqis and Afghans? Did he, because in the Holocaust, right, somebody made the trains run on time. Hitler had a secretary. IBM took did all their paperwork. I don't care what he did. He's a cog in the machine and he fucking sucks. And he only did it. He didn't get disillusioned. He was bored. It wasn't very exciting. They don't fear him. He is clearly their guy on the inside. Yep. Next, I'm done with you, Kyle. I've been listening to secular talk since the days of Big Seltzer and your small audience at the time joking about how you didn't have any legs. I haven't always agreed with your libertarian views on some of the issues, but on broad strokes we agreed. And at the end of the day, your views were your own and you owned up to your mistakes, when you got info wrong. But lying about a psychopathic serial killer who is former Blackwater mercenary who does not regret advancing US imperialism and wants to pump even more money into military-industrial complex to rattle boat savers with China is beyond acceptable. This man is at best Fetterman 2.0 and at worst another Holden Bloodfest who will vote to drag us into more slaughtering for money. You have abandoned your principles. Typically, I would give you the benefit of the doubt and assume ignorance. But Platner's history is laid bare, and you of all people have absolutely no excuse this time around. To anyone else that isn't familiar with Platner's grift, I implore you to watch Bad Empanada's video on him. You have disappointed me for the last time, Kyle. A man is nothing if not his principles, and Kyle's proved after all these years that he is no man. That was devastating. Now, I've written stuff into Majority Report's comments, but they don't actually read comments. I know that because I was writing about fucking ExpressVPN for a year, right? I know they check emails, and that's why I sent them an email. I know they sometimes look in at the Discord. That's why I wrote it in so many different places. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear it. So I was about to move on, but I forgot to go over why Kyle Kulinkski is problematic. Now, he does shitpost, and, like I saw the Tabernacle get judged based on his tweets the other day, which I thought was wholly wrong. And he was talking about it, but his tweets and things like, I am the British left, and like that's obviously hyperbolic. And he, like, if you know the creator, you know that he is not like that. Like he's really easygoing. He's not like an egomaniac. And so watching Carl Kulinkski, I do know the type of person he is or presents himself as. He is arrogant, he's crude, he's ableist in his language, he is fat phobic, and he's also racist. But his meme is the thing we're going to look at that is racist. So we're going to have a look at his tweets, which vary from cringe to offensive to just like, grow up, you fucking idiot. Okay, so here we have this is from his Reddit, sorry. The Secular Talk Reddit, which I just went for a quick look at to see if he was. See, Reddits often turn into snark Reddits. Isn't there's some criticism about him, but this isn't him. But this is people who feel comfortable in his community expressing something like this. I saw Trump on Epstein Island lock that ugly fat chomo pig up. In Trump's first term, I said that people should not he's got a lot of things wrong with him. Being fat, I don't care. I don't care that he's fat. When he's hypocritical, when he calls other people fat, I might say, don't throw stones. But you can insult him many other ways other than saying he's fat. That's probably the least offensive thing. Okay, so this is on Kyle's Twitter. It was a meme of Trump being asleep and Biden dancing around him, drawing on his face. Who is sleepy now? Okay, this is it was a short video for 7 seconds of Biden dancing around. This is from today, which is 5th of December. It's AI. It's an AI video. and pro-Biden. Are we pro-Biden now? Is that what he is? This fucking guy who supposedly, like, you know, he hasn't said it, but he used to go on Joe Rogan. So I'm pretty sure in private he says, I'm the Joe Rogan of the left, right? And you're supporting Biden, who's a right winger, so conservative, could have codified Roe, could have pulled cinema and fucking Manchin into line, but didn't. Could have, and these are things that Kyle has said as well. The crime bill, he's racist. He's a rabid Zionist and said if Israel didn't exist, we would have to invent it. And Kyle's caping for him. Okay, Mr. Leftist. All right, here we've got another AI, and he's real fucking funny. I told Dad to only attack the boats with the fentanyl and to leave the coke boats alone. Yeah, you know, Kyle, that like there's been no drugs in any of those boats. I know, like it's ha ha he he, right? You have a 2 million subscriber YouTube, and I don't think this is particularly helpful. Like, have a laugh. But perhaps you could make it about the guy that the Honduras guy that Trump pardoned. Talk about that on Twitter. And then we've got when you have Epstein blackmail, they let you do what you want. Oh, that's a reference to grab him by the pussy. This is terrible. What the fuck? Do we need an image of Trump getting fucked by Netanyahu? And it's AI again. Then we got here. Now, I did this specifically because Pete Hegseth is an alcoholic and war criminal. Graham Platner, not an alcoholic as far as we know, that he hasn't mentioned being in recovery. Isn't talked about any sort of thing like that actually. So, you know, like I'm not gonna say anything about that, but he's a war criminal. So, and you're supporting him, Kyle. Pete Hegseth has some Nazi tattoos. So does Graham Platt. Different, same. And then bombing kids is bad. Israel going crazy. Bombing kids is bad, Kyle. But maybe not like kids in Iraq and Afghanistan. I was gonna look to see how many children and civilians died when Graham was serving, because that would be interesting to know. Okay, let's have a look at some statistics from the, what are they calling it? So this is from Brown University, and it's called 20 Years of War, Cost of War, Direct War Deaths. So this is, I think it's called the Cost of War. Hang on. Cost of War project at Brown University. And I found an article from Responsible Statecraft. That's interesting. But it doesn't look like it does much other than something on military industrial complex, Washington politics, media, global crises. So, as of September the 1st, 2021, it breaks down the countries and how many people were killed in each one. And so it's rounded to the nearest thousand. So US military in Afghanistan, 2,324, Iraq, 4,598, and then 130 in other places. US, oh, they did. So US Department of Defense civilians, so that's probably like partners and things like that. Then we have 21 Department of Defense civilians, and then we have the contractors, which is what Graham Platner was doing. 3,917 in Afghanistan and 3,650 in Iraq. And then around about 700, early 700s in Pakistan, Syria, Yemen, and other. I wonder what the other is. I won't count Syria because he didn't serve in Syria, but he definitely served in Afghanistan and Iraq, which is where the most casualties are. And holy fucking shit. 69,000? Oh, that's them. That's the Iraqis and the Afghans. And it's a bit topical at the moment because the man who did he kill? The National Guard. Was that in Washington? I can't remember. I think it's in Washington. And it was a National Guard shooting, and it was done by somebody who was an Afghanistan, like he served to help America. Wow, they really did think that the people in Iraq and Afghanistan were pretty expendable because they killed nearly 70,000 of them. And then in Iraq, we've got 45 to 48,000, and in Syria, 80,000. Wow. Then we have the civilians. That's abysmal. And now I'm thinking, so like I try to do BDS all I can. I have been a Coke drinker since I was, God, like 16, 15, like nearly, every day that I could. And it's like a symbol of summer. There was never anything that was more thirst quenching than that Coke, ice cold Coke on a really hot Australian summer day. But they're on the BDS list, so I gave them up this year. Oh, yeah, this year. Because I do live in a place where I can get Dr. Pepper very easily now. I never used to. So I should have been boycotting America. They killed, well, we don't know how many people they've killed in Palestine yet, but it could be around about that. 363,000 to 387,000 civilians. Graham Platner contributed to that, as did many other Iraq veterans. We've got opposition fighters where the number was less in Iraq. So they killed more civilians in Iraq than they did combatants. Less in Afghanistan, more, slightly less in Syria, way more in Yemen. Oh, hang on, sorry, other way around. Opposition fighters, civilians. So they killed more in Syria, more in Iraq, less in Yemen, less in Afghanistan, less in Pakistan. Journalists and media workers. Oh my God. I didn't realize they killed that many. 282 journalists in Iraq, 74 in Afghanistan, and then humanitarian and NGO workers, 446 in Afghanistan. Even having one in any of these civilian journalists, media workers, and humanitarian and NGO workers is like an absolute tragedy. Fucking hell. So the total number of people who died in Afghanistan is 176,000. In Pakistan, it's 67,000. In Iraq, 275,000 to 306,000. I didn't realize that Syria was so big. It was really not on my radar at all. I feel like I was conscious of what was happening, and I had a friend at university, and when we moved away after we graduated, I used to send him postcards, and this is before they had caught Saddam, and because they were saying that they were going to be spying on us and we had loss of privacy. So I used to write on his postcards that say g'day to Saddam for me. And then when we would talk on the phone, I would say the cops are pig fuckers, because that's what Hunter S. Thompson used to call them. But I don't think, like, I don't know what happened to my fear of fighting that terrible, terrible war that was just killing people every fucking day, All right, the next page, let's have a look. Oh, these are all fucking the sources. So you can see this is very well sourced. The Daily Beast, a Russian Blackwater, Putin's secret soldier in Ukraine. Interesting that there's something about Blackwater in there. I might do a follow-up video looking at some of these sources because I think the Iraq War was, like I said, I really didn't keep my finger on the pulse there. It was such a, like, I knew there were no weapons of mass destruction. It was so clear. They fabricated it. It was ridiculous that they received the Congress approval to do it, especially considering when we go back to that death count, nearly 1 million people. For what? And Graham's correct in that it was, like it was just a waste of lives. Now, he thinks it's like he doesn't really care about anyone else who died. He hasn't mentioned it on Reddit, only, like after he was told he should be sorry about it. And, like they didn't win. That was the point for him. The post 9/11 wars in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, the most violent conflicts in which the US government has engaged in the name of counterterrorism since September 11, 2001, have taken a tremendous human toll. Indirect deaths are estimated to be at 3.6 to 3.8 million, bringing the total death toll, including direct and indirect deaths, to 4.5 to 4.7 million and counting. Precise mortality figures remain unknown because there's a lot of things that can kill you after people have left. There could be bombs that haven't been set off, and there could be cancer-causing agents as a result of bombing and things like that. At least 749 civilians in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen died as a direct result of the post 9/11 wars, US drone strikes, and other military operations in Somalia, Libya, and elsewhere have also caused civilian deaths. What? I don't know where the comma was supposed to be there. As of May 2023, more than 7.6 million children under 5 in post 9/11 war zones suffered from acute malnutrition. Fucking hell. Children under 5. They have not known a world where they haven't been getting bombed. That's what made me so sad when Anais, can't remember his surname, but he was a journalist who was killed in Palestine, and he was born in a refugee camp and he died. I don't think he was in a refugee camp, but he was definitely in a concentration camp of some sort. So it just is so sad. Displaced people. So this is the purpose of going through this is to say that Graham Platner, his only regret that I've seen him express over his years of Reddit posts is that they didn't win. They didn't get anything out of it. It was pointless, right? He doesn't mention these things. And I think they're important to mention because this is on him and other people like him. And there are plenty of veterans who have said, yeah, I suffered PTSD. But do you know what? Not as badly as people in Iraq and Afghanistan. I fucked their lives up. And they own it. Graham Platner does not do that. So the displaced people. Over the course of the 9/11 wars, over 38 million people from Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, Philippines, Libya, and Syria were displaced either abroad or within their own countries. We actually have quite a high refugee population in my local area of Somalians, and that's today, and I don't know how long, or where they're sort of like when they started populating over here. And we've got a few from Afghanistan, And Iraq. Yeah, definitely. We have like 50 nationalities at my school. I love it. It's so fantastic. Um, being internally displaced by war is associated with higher rates of indirect deaths. As of August 2021, since the start of the post 9/11 wars, at least 5.9 million Afghans have had fled the country or been internally displaced. And some of them went to America after working for the American military and were trained by the CIA and then had lots of issues mentally for what they'd done, and perhaps they grabbed a gun and went and killed people, which is what happened with the guard, the National Guard person. Oh, I think it was more than one person that died in that one. They shouldn't have been there anyway. Trump should not have the National Guard in any capital cities. There's no emergencies. Well, blue cities anyway. As of March 2023, more than 1.1 million Iraqis remain displaced. Some who managed to escape the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq fled to nearby states including Pakistan, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, Turkey, and Iran. So, about Afghanistan. In 2023, over 1 million Afghans were forcibly returned from Pakistan and Iran. This runs counter to an understanding of Afghans' mobility across borders as one solution for their need to safety. Comparing before the US invasion pre 2001 to after the war, 2022, the percentage of Afghans facing food insecurity and living in poverty, as well as children experiencing acute malnutrition, all significantly increased. CIA armed Afghan militia groups commit human rights abuses and extrajudicial killings of civilians. Imagine that. Imagine that. Hey, is that what they did? Unexploded ordnance from post 9/11 war and landmines from previous wars kill, injure, and maim civilians. Fields, roads, and school buildings are contaminated by ordnance, which often harm children as they go about chores like gathering wood. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about before with, things that don't kill them directly. So continuing on with the displaced people. In Iraq, the US invasion and occupation of Iraq beginning in 2003 and later military operations against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria beginning in 2014 compounded the negative health impacts and decades of harmful US policy actions towards Iraq since the 1960s, including economic sanctions in the 1990s that were devastating for Iraqis. Studies have shown the long-lasting environmental costs of war in Fallujah, which Graham Platner never fails to mention, where he fought. He was in Fallujah, he was in Ramadi, he's a combat veteran, which means he killed people there, where the population has seen a 17-fold increase in birth anomalies, a rise in cancers, like I said before, and a myriad of other health problems linked with bombardments and accompanying exposure to heavy metals. Bone sampling research detected uranium in 29% of study participants and lead in 100 of participants' bone samples. Jesus, that's got to be very devastating for their health. War has intensified gender-based violence suffered by Iraqi women, including domestic violence, verbal and physical intimidation, sexual harassment, rape, forced marriage, trafficking, forced prostitution, female genital mutilation, and honor-based crimes, including killings. Damn. Yeah, this war touched so many people. Threats to journalists in conflict zones are increasing. In 2023, a journalist or media worker was on average killed or murdered every 4 days. In 2024, it was once every 3 days. Most reporters harmed or killed are local journalists. And yeah, we've seen that in Palestine, that's for sure. And I bet we're up to one every 2 days. I'm sure it's increased, and that where it's happening the most is Israel. But yeah, the thing to remember with all of this information too is that behind all of the statistics and all the numbers and the words on the screen are real people who are living lives that are made worse by Western interference. And for what? That's what, like I said, that's where Graham Platner definitely is correct. Yeah, it was pointless. He doesn't think about it on that human scale. He's thinking about it as like a waste of money. So yeah, it's hard to grasp that. How the fuck did we let that go on for so long? Ugh, I'm feeling a lot of guilt for not being more aware, you know. I've got no excuse for it because we had access to all this information, all of the stories. You know, I said myself, I have read testimony of the people who were tortured in Abu Ghraib, and I still managed to ignore it for like 15 years. Okay, so this information came from the Brown University page, other than the other thing I was reading was just like a PDF, and this is on the actual website, and it is under a section called Civilians Killed and Displaced. I just took Afghanistan and Iraq because they were the main ones that were there. CIA agent. The CIA's army, a threat to human rights and an obstacle to peace in Afghanistan. Oh, wow. This is from 2019. Interesting. I am going to have a look at that and maybe do an it's got recommendations. It's crazy. All right, I'm gonna save that. Thank you. Cost of War, Brown University. That's really interesting. Also on here, this is U.S. military veterans, contractors, and allies. So the U.S. military, over 7,053 U.S. service members died in the post 9/11 wars. At least 4 times as many U.S. service members and veterans of the post 9/11 wars died by suicide than in combat. So 4 times 7,000. Jesus. 28,000 people. God fucking damn it. Certain US states and communities have borne a higher human cost than others, signaling a pattern of inequality in military service. On average, over the course of the war, Afghanistan, 2001 to 2021, 24% of US active duty women service members and 1.9 of active duty men experienced sexual assault. These numbers are 2 to 4 times higher than official DoD estimations of sexual assault prevalence in the military. Wow. Jesus fucking Christ. A quarter, 1 in 4 women serving got sexually assaulted. 1 in 4. So you're standing in a group of 4 women and one of them has been sexually assaulted. You're standing in a group of 8. 2 of them have been sexually assaulted. That is insanity to me. Contractors, an estimated 8,189 contractors for the US military died during the post 9/11 wars. Foreign workers for US contracting firms often do not have their deaths recorded or compensated. Military contractors, companies in Afghanistan routinely violate one of the only legal protections for these workers. The United States Immigrant Visa, the SIV program, was designed to help Afghans and Iraqis in danger as a result of their service to the US government, yet processes are broken. It often fails to support those who need it most. And you just have Donald Trump and Stephen Miller saying, "Oh, sorry, your visas are cancelled because I'm a racist. Allied and military police, over 178,346 national, military and police from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq and Syria were killed in post 9/11 wars. US allies, including the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Italy, and Canada, as well as other nations, also contributed troops and suffered significant fatalities. 12,468 Allied troops were killed in the post 9/11 wars between 2001 and 2023. I can't believe not only did America go to war with Iraq on a lie, but all the allies followed. Over 1.8 million veterans have some degree of officially recognized disability as a result of the wars. Veterans of the post 9/11 wars account for more than half of the severely disabled veteran population. Wow. And you think of comparing that to like Vietnam, those veterans are much older. So you'd think they'd be the one who had the most disability. It's crazy. More than 40% of post 9/11 veterans, an extraordinarily high proportion, are entitled to lifetime disability payments, and this number is expected to increase to 54% over the next 30 years. By comparison, fewer than 25% of veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the First Gulf War have been certified as having a service-connected disability. Half of everybody. You get lifetime disability. For what and for what? The economic costs of caring for post 9/11 war vets will reach between 2.2 and 2.5 trillion by 2050. Other than honorable discharges and other bad papers often result from minor forms of misconduct stemming from trauma sustained during military service. They prevent veterans from receiving veteran affairs, healthcare, education, and housing support, and other resources. So there you have, that's the stats on the Iraq and, the war on terror, post 9/11 wars. And yeah, it was just a genocide. It was just a massacre of people in the Middle East and Western Asia. It's crazy. And I feel like shit that I really didn't think about how much it had gone on. Like 2001, I've explained, as when the towers hit, I was in my first teaching position. So most of my career, America was like annihilating Iraq and Afghanistan. Grim. All right. So that's what I want to talk about with regard to these people who are supporting Graham Platner. And it's not just Graham Platner. If they support anyone who is very proud of their military service and they did this, and this, and I helped people and I got a medal and la la la. If they don't denounce it, if they don't try to redeem themselves with the Iraqis and Afghan people, fuck them. They shouldn't have a space in the left. I'm sorry. Well, they can have a space to be supportive, and no. If they don't regret it, then fuck them. Okay? Yeah, we are going to purity test that. I'm going to be elitist, and I am going to purity test redemption, like having remorse and regretting your military service needs to be part of your story of being on the left. Sorry about it. But humanistic policies, humanistic beliefs, and inequality and oppression are all connected. And if you can't see the humanity of Iraqis, Afghans, Syrians, or Yemenis, you're just like, meh, he's sorry he did it. No, he's not, for starters, but would it be different if he had killed Americans? I think it shows a big weakness in them that they are willing to overlook this because of what the man says And it's so disappointing because I know these people are capable of being rational. They've got a brain. They know the history. They've been extremely loud in their support for Palestine. And yet, there's one little blind spot there. Oh, I don't want to think about what Graham Platner did in Iraq or Afghanistan. I'm just going to support him blindly and not go on and on about it. And they just betrayed their principles like that. Just like that. All right, let's move on to the next point. This one here, Trump taking the hat off, and it says anti-war turn click pro-imperialism. Yeah, guess who else is got that? That's Graham Platner as well, without the red hat. There we go. Another fucking AI image. Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Hegseth, is preparing to address his generals. And again, Graham Platner is a war criminal as well. And many other Democrats. Don't get me wrong, because that's what Sam Cedar was trying to say. Oh, well, why aren't you getting up any other Democrats? Because you don't have full-throated support for them and making excuses for them and saying that they're progressive to your audience who you have an extreme amount of influence over. So that's why people are speaking up. And then this is the fucking racist one that is still up as of today, 5th of December. He does not feel any shame. He does not care. And he probably got paid a lot for this. He's got a blue check. He got 9 million views, 1.5k comments, 10k shares, 131k likes, which is just disgusting. Yes, I'm American. Yes, I like Hitler. And it's this fucking racist Indian caricature. And this isn't just like some random Indian guy either. This is a guy, I can't remember his name, but he broke his jaw when he was young. He couldn't get it fixed. And it meant that he couldn't eat solid food for basically all his life. And he only got it fixed. Like he had solid food for the first time when he was like 30 something. And Kyle, the leftist, posted it. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. And Tabernacle and Bad Empanada shouldn't be the only ones calling this out. They should be ashamed of themselves, honestly. And they're not, because it's still up. Then we've got the whole glazing Zoran. Trump is weird. He posts weird. Shut. Now I'm not going to say this because I'm uncomfortable. I would be uncomfortable saying this because it is using African American vernacular, AAVE, right? Why would you put that over Donald Trump? And he is rattled by fucking dickhead, what's his name? Oh my God, I can't remember his name. Gavin Newsom, there you go. He is intimidated by Gavin Newsom. He doesn't say it. He says he's low, okay, blah, blah, blah. Trump is a ruthless despot. Yes, sir. Glory to the people. Zoran did not come off like he won that. I'm sorry. Not to me. He looked like he was healing. Yes, Donald Trump was like a little dickhead, but Trump knows he's got Zoran covered now. He's going to send ICE, and I heard that he already has been increasing that pressure. It's just so dumb. Trump cocked himself to Zoran, lol. This man is in his 40s, or maybe late 30s, and he didn't. It's ridiculous that people are reading that fucking meeting as what they are. It is just stunning how unserious they are. And you know what? I betcha the views and the money have never been better. If it was just a boring old fucking Kamala Democrat, right, who still is genocidal and fucking sucks, the views aren't as high. Maybe there's a little bit of crazy MAGA stuff. Not like now. And there's a lot of people who are cashing in on it, and it's disgusting. And I think they deserve to be called out because they represent or say they represent leftists, progressives, and all that sort of shit while towing the Democrat line. And Kyle's bad, but his little sycophant fucking Vanguard, who love him so much, are worse. Nah, oh, they're equally bad, but they're pathetic. So yeah, that's Kyle. And then we have Kyle's cheer squad, which is the Vanguard. Now, the Vanguard, they're kind of like uh, a drama channel, but for the leftist space. Well, leftist slash progressive space. And so they got a lot of mileage out of the Majority Report feuding with TYT, the Young Turks, and they talk a lot about Jank and Anna from the Young Turks, and basically just suck up to Kyle. And they're not an objective voice on Kyle. They went to his wedding. But all right, so let's talk about the Vanguard and what massive suck ups they are to Kyle. So this one was from 3 weeks ago, and it's like they must have had an interview with him, which they do often because they are sycophants to Kyle. And, like this is all basically clickbait because, come on, be serious, be so for real that this is what you're going to put on your channel. Like, Kyle Kulinkski might run as the president. But it's like exclusive. Kyle Kulinkski slams Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, and Ben Shapiro. Gay Mexican twink. Okay, so are these things that is that a bad thing about him? I don't think being a gay Mexican twink is bad. Do you think it's bad? Do you want to talk about how he's a fucking Nazi? Because that's probably going to be better. Yeah, he probably is a repressed homosexual, and like it's pretty well known that he was doing either maybe a private Discord stream, and he showed people his porn, and he's got a cat boy, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. So yeah, okay, cool. Do you want to talk about why he's a shitbag? It's not because he's gay or Mexican. He's a shitbag because he's a Nazi and he loves Hitler. And he's been mainstreamed by, other influences. Treat it like it's serious, for fuck's sake. Then Carl Kulinkski destroys Bill Burr in exclusive interview. You sold out, I imagine. Okay. Next, the Rogan era is over. It's over. It's done. Carl Kulinkski savages irrelevant Joe Rogan. And yeah, I think old Joe's probably still doing okay. Like, yeah, he's a dickhead, and he's part of the reason why we're in this situation with Trump, but I don't think he's lost his popularity. I think he's got a bit of regret because, he ushered in fascism. He knew what he was doing. It doesn't matter because fascism serves capitalists. And that's what he is. The next one, and I think this is a typo. I thought I said it wrong before. I'm sure his name is Matt Tabibi, but I think he used to be progressive and now he's not, and blah blah blah. But Carl Kulinkski ends Matt Tabibi's career in epic clapback over whatever. It's the Erica Kirk thing, which he doesn't really. Carl's not a guy to go back on his word. But let's go back on what he thinks. Like he keeps up offensive tweets. He stands by it because he is a free speech person, very much so, very libertarian. But I think if we went to Twitter or Matt Tabibi's, I don't know, workplace, I think we would see that he's not cancelled. Like he's not, his career is still going, Next, we're up to one of their favorites, they always come back to it, which is criticizing the Young Turks because they know that that gets them clicks. And, this is just a stab at Cenk Uygur. Then we've got the next ridiculousness, which is, will Kyle run for president? I fucking hope not, because he's not, I don't know, he's just a dickhead. He's really immature. He's not that smart. It's just, you know, his libertarian streak, which I think is well and truly sort of gone, definitely would have made me pause, but he's just not, he would be an establishment Democrat. And he actually did start a party called Justice Democrats. And I think they're still around, but he's not associated with them anymore because it moved away from like being as sort of independent, Yeah, but they really think that this is great content. Look at us with Kyle. He's our best friend. Yay, look at us. We're so cute. All right, next one. The No Kings rally, which, if you do this and you don't actually follow it up with any sort of community building, organizing, anything like that, then it was a waste of time. It's just taking people, just meeting together. They have to be able to do something about it. And then we've got Saga and Jetty, who is the co-host of Breaking Points with Crystal, and this is on the Vanguard's channel, and they, of course, because fuck. Oh, Breaking Point. So Crystal hosts it with Saga, and Saga's a fascist. Do you know how I know? Because the Vanguard made a thumbnail and it says fascist destroyed with an arrow pointing to him. That's how I know Saga is a fascist. And yet Crystal Ball hosts a show with him. Oh, I look like that girl from that meme. She honestly, it's so hypocritical. And I just don't think that you should platform those voices. Now, I know that they are heavily sort of supportive of the right to free speech, and that's fine. So you can have those free speech moments. You don't have to platform them. You don't have to be the one platforming the hate. And we're in a fascist, well, you guys are in a fascist regime, and you still want to be playing respectability politics, and the other side does not fucking care. The last one here, Carl Kulinkski said this about the Vanguard's coverage in a recent podcast, whatever. Oh, do you think he'll notice us? I'm so glad he noticed us. Ew. One last, sorry, that was the second last one. This one's the last one, which is Carl Kulinkski attacked by Asmongold after epic something or other. Asmongold is the most popular Twitch streamer. It's a travesty that Asmongold has the audience that he does, but, how is this fucking news? They're such... I hate how much people throw around the word slop at the moment. This is fucking leftist content creator drama slop. They haven't called anyone out for backing Graham Platner, so fuck the Vanguard. So in conclusion, the Vanguard suck. All right, so that is it for analyzing Kyle Kulinkski and the Vanguard, his little cheerleading team. And I just had a quick look at the channel, and there's another couple of videos about Kyle. So good for you, Vanguard. And the meaning of a Vanguard is, I knew it had something to do with, guarding, duh, because I understand that words are formed like that. But it's the foremost, the first lines of battle. And if you're just going to be sucking up to Kyle, you're really just leaving such a blind spot. And they do that to the Majority Report too, basically. They have made so much money off of the feud between the Young Turks and the Majority Report. And don't get me wrong, I watched a lot of that because I don't like the Young Turks now just because I've gone anti-Majority Report. But even I had to stop watching. I'm like, okay, whatever, because I think it's overly indulgent, and it was just such a waste of time of just watching. I know that Anna Kasparian is a trash person, and I know Jank is a trash person. So yeah, whatever. The next people I'm going to cover, I'm not sure if I'll go for Crystal Ball and Ryan Grimm and that whole thing, because that is connected to Kyle, because Crystal Ball is Kyle's wife. But Francesca Fiorentini, aka the Bitchuation Room, and she just put out a video today pro Graham Platner. So she might be next because I'm really pissed off about it. And we still got to do Zateo and Hassan. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Stay away from these ridiculous people. If you can like and subscribe, and I will see you on part 3. All right, bye.